Lake County Commissioners, would all those who are willing and able please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of our country. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Grant us, O Lord, light to our understanding, prudence in our investigating, foresight in our planning, sincerity in our deliberating, the grace to follow truth in our judgment. Help us to be moved in our decision neither by fear nor by self-interest, and to do our work faithfully. May we respect the authority vested in us, for thou art the source of all authority, and may we use our directives for the common good and for thy honor and glory. Amen. Thank you all. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Present.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Here. All right, we have before us the meeting minutes for the regular meetings of May 12, 2022, May 19, 2022, May 26, 2022, and June 2nd, 2022. Do we have a motion to approve same, waiving the reading thereof?
Motion.
And second, discussion? None being heard. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes. All right, this brings us to our first public comment portion. I believe we're going to move a couple things up front here. Madam Clerk, Patty, certificate?
I think we'll do the employee first.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry, Patty. I thought Patty.
Yes.
Hold on, I'm reading here. We got Patty Thier on 50 years. Okay, all right. Hold on. This is all real time, ladies and gentlemen. Hang on. Which agenda item is that?
Oh, it's just a special
It's
certificate.
just a special. Got it. Well, with that, we have. Do you want to read it or shall I? Oh, I've got it. Go for it. Watch this, Kathy. I'll read the whole thing. That's an inside joke. Okay, we have a certificate of recognition. This June 16th, 2022, congratulating Patty, please forgive me if I mispronounced, Thier,
Yep.
on 50 years with the Lake County, with Lake County and the Auditor's Office. Whereas Patty Thier is currently the longest standing employee with Lake County. She joined Lake County and the Auditor's Office on June 12, 1972. She has served with integrity and commitment during her exemplary 50-year tenure. And whereas Patty began her career as a secretary under Auditor Sapancic and was moved to the Homestead Department in 1988, today she is responsible for reviewing data with the state of Ohio to certify that the submissions of the homestead applications meet all state requirements and to enter this data into the AIS system, which provides the constituents of Lake County with a significant tax savings if eligible. And whereas Patricia has worked under a total of 5 auditors, including Auditor Daniel J. Sapancic, Auditor Kathleen Cotter, Auditor Edward H. Sapancic, Michelle Pennell, and Auditor Christopher A. Galloway. In 1988, the Homestead program had only 4,000 enrollees a year, and today it has grown to approximately 20,000 annually. Now, therefore, we, the Board of Commissioners, extend our gratitude and for the diligence and dedication Patricia has demonstrated on behalf of Lake County. And I believe, Auditor Galloway, you have some things you'd also like to add? These are the fun times.
Right. These are the good things. Commissioner, thank you so much. On behalf of our staff and the entire auditor's office, we want to congratulate Patty on a half-century of excellence with the county. She basically graduated high school and came to work at the auditor's office, and here she is, still working diligently for the taxpayers of our county. She's a joy to work with. She comes to work every day, right on time, ready to go. There's a lot we can all learn from that in terms of work ethic. So we're so happy that she's part of our team, still part of our team. And I can tell you, she started working for the auditor's office about 2 months before I was born. So we really appreciate the commissioners taking a moment and honoring her 50 years of service. I don't know if she is the longest serving employee ever. Someone would have to do a lot of research, but I can't imagine there's much competition for that when you reach 50 years. So Patty, on behalf of the entire office, thank you so much. Come on up. I'm sure the commissioners would love to take a photo or something with their longest serving employee. If you'd like to say anything, please do. This is your moment to shine, Patty.
I'd just like to say that I've been very blessed by having all my previous bosses keep me on all these years, and I've enjoyed the work, and I've enjoyed helping our seniors and our veterans and our disabled people realize a tax break on their homes, because a lot of them, that's what's helping keep them in their homes, and that's very important for anybody, especially our seniors and our veterans and our disabled people. It means a lot to me and to them, and I'm glad I've been able to be here all these years to do this. And I thank everybody and all my current coworkers and my past coworkers and current boss, former boss, everybody. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you. And spoken as a true public servant with a servant's heart, Commissioner.
Mr. President, I just want to echo and amplify what Auditor Galloway and you have shared. It's a truly remarkable milestone to make it to 50 years of public service. You said it yourself, the most vulnerable members of Lake County's population, including our veterans, our seniors, and those in need. You've reached out and you've helped them to stay in their homes. That's not an easy thing to do for 1 year, for 2 years, for 10 years. 50 years of public service is something that we should all look to aspirationally. I will say, in my other life as a professor at Cleveland State, I see colleagues who made it to 46 years and 40 years and 38, and I thought to myself, I hope that I have that kind of tenure, because the difference that you can make is extraordinary. But 50 years, now I have a new milestone that I would like to reach, because the work that we do here in Lake County and in the auditor's office, it's so impactful. And you have made a difference in the lives of thousands upon thousands of Lake County residents. So today your colleagues are all here to say thank you, and we hope that there are many more happy and healthy years of service to come, because you make such a big difference.
Thank you very much.
Want to do it in front of the photo in front of the
Yeah. Why not? That's definitely something new. Yeah.
unless the projection kind
Just
of.
getting blinded. Oh, we're throwing shadows.
Oh, does the projection mess up the photo?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you want to do it? Auditor, come on here. All right.
Chris?
I'll wait for over here. Let's go.
They're getting station right.
It was a great
This is perfect. It's all good. Teamwork, come on over here.
In theory, let's do it.
Smile, Patty.
That's right.
Okay, 1, 2, 3. Thank you. Congratulations.
All right. And I would extend to the commissioners, we're going to have some cake and pizza later downstairs in the auditor's office. If you'd like to come on down and enjoy that with the team, that'd be great.
John, we need to move this meeting along. There's cake and pizza.
I was going to say, if Chris were to call downstairs and have them move it up here, we have air conditioning, so. Yeah, the air conditioning is broken in the other building, so. Just got the report, 3 days to get the parts. Yeah. Anyhow, but seriously, if that would help out your team. Okay, and with that, we are still in our first public comment portion, and we have 3 students and their parents who all got A's. Oh boy, there we go.
No, we came for it.
All right, that's our auditors team. Again, thank you all for joining us.
Commissioner, I got to put them back to work.
I was going to say they're all here.
Recess is over.
Bring the cake up here.
Well, thank you, Commissioner.
So, Treasurer, how are you, sir?
Good. I'm here to, with you, celebrate the success of 3 outstanding students. Together, the Lake County Treasurer's Office and Commissioner John Pleshnick, Commissioner John Hamercheck, and Auditor Chris Galloway. Oh, good. Still here. Didn't escape.
I know I'm a moving target this morning, Mike. It's okay.
It's just safer that way.
And we created an award, the All A's Award, and pretty much to sum up the award, it just celebrated the dedication and the hard work of students who received straight A's in every subject for a full school year, which is a huge accomplishment. And we have 3 students that are attending the commissioners meeting. I'm going to call them up, and I'm going to ask them a few questions because there's more to their success than just 1 year of all A's. So Anthony Osterman, you want to come up? And could the commissioners come down, and Chris, can you come up? We're going to get pictures of everybody. But I have a question for Anthony. How many years have you received all A's?
Approximately 8 years.
8 years of all A's in every subject. That is really a lot of dedication. That is really amazing.
I think I got 8 A's in all my years.
Thank you. So we're going to present you with this award.
Come on down. Congratulations. Well done.
Sideways.
Fantastic.
Ma'am. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Congratulations on your hard work. And then,
Should we just stay here?
yeah, I'll just call. Okay, we have Christopher Lucas Chavez. And Lucas, what school do you go to?
Madison.
Madison. And
You're going to be off mic if people watching can't hear any of this.
okay, I'm sorry. Okay. So, and Lucas, you go to Madison
Correct.
High School. What grade are you in?
Going into 11.
11th grade. Okay. And is this 1 year of all A's, or have you been a straight A student for multiple years, or?
Multiple years.
Okay. Okay. Well, that's amazing. So congratulations. We're going to grab a quick picture with you.
Okay. 1, 2, 3.
Smiley face says Patel, right?
Okay.
Congratulations. Great job. Well done.
Congratulations. Okay, and we have one more student, Stephanie Klima, if you could come up. And what school do you go to?
Madison.
Madison, okay. And how many years have you received all A's?
I was going to say pretty much all through school.
So what grade are you in?
I'm going to be in 10th.
So 9 years of all A's in all subjects. We're in good shape in Lake County.
Go Madison.
Yeah, that's 2 in a row. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I would just like to say that we've gone, actually the commissioners and auditor and I have gone to multiple schools with this award, and it's really a testament to not only the teachers and the schools to produce so many all-A students, but also their parents. It really is a group effort for a student to achieve such high academics and standards. So congratulations to everybody who received awards over the last couple months. That we've gone to, I think we went to about 17 schools total, just to celebrate the success of the students in Lake County. So thank you.
Oh, thank you. And I do mean sincerely, thank you, Treasurer. You have been a certificate generating machine taking care of so many people, and I will tell you, my colleague John Pleshnik, my gosh, I have no idea how you guys find time to do all this. It's impressive. You might get or you might get a certificate for those certificates generated, but that's pretty impressive stuff. Thank you.
John and I are going to present it.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. And it's so good to see the families here today. That's wonderful. And you're more than welcome to stay for the meeting, or go get cake downstairs if you follow Auditor Galloway. He'll take you on a tour of the auditor's office. But thank you all. Thank you. All right. Well, we're still in our first public comment portion. Is there anyone wishing to address this board during the first public comment? Sir. Good morning to you.
Good morning. John Music, 45 Coventry Drive, Painesville Township. First question, what school did the first young man go to? The other last two were Madison. What was the first one?
Golly, I think that was also Madison, wasn't it? I am so sorry. You want me to catch them real quick?
Mike asked the other ones, but I just would be interesting. Oh.
Hold on.
This ain't going to count towards my 5 minutes, is it? Yeah, thanks, Randy. Oh, wow.
All Madison.
Great school system. Good for them. I just wanted to mention this. I'm going to talk in the last
I'm
one.
way too old to be running after young people like that.
Because I'll talk again. I have a question. I'll talk in the other session. But as I've told you before, I went to my first school board meeting last month. Since when my kids were in school, I went a couple times then, but I went to this one, and I heard some things said and so forth that I don't agree with, so I'll continue going back, and I made a lot of phone calls. And just the one thing, if you remember the letter that was sent to the president talking about the parents that come and speak at the Board of Educations. So I called the OSBA and I talked to a gentleman.
What letter is that, sir?
The one about calling domestic terrorist, the parents.
For some context, thanks.
Yes. And in fact, I got the letter right here if you want to read it. It's the letter that was sent to them, sent to the president. Of course, they took it offline right away, but you can't find it. But anyhow, and then I talked, just FYI, so everybody knows, the Ohio OSBA, the Ohio School Board Association, and that letter was dated 9/29 of 21, and that was sent. And then on 10/25 of 21, the OSBA terminated their relations with the NSBA. So they are no longer associated with that. They are with the Consortium of State School Board Association, which has, and I talked to somebody there also, that's how you do your homework. You go right to the source. You don't go from this person to that. You go right to the source. So the thing about it is, I just want to let everybody know, I cannot encourage more. It means we still have that First Amendment. Everybody can give their opinion. And I just cannot encourage more that after this one meeting I went to, I wish I'd have been to more, because like I said, I heard some things I didn't like, and I will continue to go there. You only get 3 minutes to speak, and they don't answer questions, but I get to speak, and then I'll talk to board members before and after. So, like I said, these are our kids or grandkids or whatever, and everybody should be going to their school board members, especially the parents. Even if you don't say nothing, just go there and observe. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. President?
Sir.
If I could just say, Mr. Music, I I think the two hardest jobs in public service are school board member and council person. And I know many people in this room have served in one or the other capacity. You are closest to your constituents. You're directly serving your neighbors. And it's very, very impactful. It's also very, very difficult. And I know that a lot of good folks ran for school board in the last year that share your concerns and want to make an even better school system for our kids. But it's not easy. And I know that they appreciate it when people come out to support them because you get a lot of criticism and critiques. And when somebody new comes in and tries to make a change, reform, do better, everybody poo-poos and puts them down. So I want to thank you for going to school board meetings to support the new folks who are trying to help the parents and the kids and the teachers do better and have a better system. So I just want to thank you for taking the time. Not enough people go to school board meetings. So many important decisions are made, and so few people even know they're happening.
Just FYI to your comment, I've done records requests from the school board, and they gave them to me. And like you said, there are some new school board members. I know all 5 of them. I know them all. And and I'm going to say to them, I'm from it's like the one congressman wrote a book, "Do what you said you would do." Mm-hmm. And the old saying is, "Talk the walk, but then you got to walk the talk." Mm-hmm. And the thing about it is, like you said, there are some new school board members on now, and I agree with them 100%. They are really asking questions. Just remember this, and I'm closing. Everybody in the school works for the 5 school board members. They're the boss. And I told them, the buck stops here, just like with you 3. The buck stops there. So, and I said the same thing to the school board members. And like I said, it's changing, I believe, in my opinion. We've got some new good school board members that aren't afraid to ask questions. It's not an insult to ask questions. But,
but you get a lot of pushback asking questions as a new person.
And that's sad. And then I have a lot of concerns. If people have concern asking questions, the answer, like I believe in transparency, oversight, and accountability. Why don't you want to talk about it? Thank you.
Oh, thank you. And I'm going to circle back on your Madison comment. We grow them right in Madison. How's that?
Are you biased when you join?
I am completely unbiased. Madison has earned that right. How's that bragging rights? Proud father, Madison graduates, 2 daughters, yay.
As it should be.
Sir.
Brian Massey, 8196 Rainbow Drive. A few days ago in my backyard, and I noticed a helicopter hovering just above the treetops. About 15-20 seconds in my backyard, and it wasn't a big helicopter, so I did not think that there would be SWAT team members rappelling down from there. But I wanted to find out what was happening, so I went to very capable Andy Rose, the administrator at Concord, and I said, Andy, what were the helicopters all about? And he got on his phone and he went to the sheriff's website, and the sheriff's website said that they were checking for natural gas leaks. That's sort of interesting. I don't know how you check for natural gas in a helicopter about 100 feet or so above the ground, but if someone has got an explanation, if there's new technology that you can really detect natural gas, and if it was natural gas that they were checking for, what did they find? I really would like to know, do I have a worry? Is my house going to explode, or is everything okay?
I'll probably get the word pronounced wrong. I believe it's photorefractometry. Light reflects differently off of different gases, so if they were to be emitting a scan, it would come back. The reflections.
So there truly is a technology that they could pick that up, huh?
Yes, and I assure you it has nothing to do with 5G reprogramming your brain. I'm sorry, I'm losing on this one. No, it is actually a science. They also have sniffers, so if you see people walk, I actually do construction work, if anybody's wondering how the heck I know this stuff. They actually do have sniffers where people will walk along where the lines are to kind of pinpoint things. So
Interesting.
Yes, there actually is a science behind it. And
thank you very much, Commissioner.
I'm sorry about the joke about that, but we've actually had people coming here wanting to talk about chemtrails and other things, and I'm just,
No,
I heard that when I thought, oh dear God, here we go. So
No,
sorry.
you're just a fountain of knowledge. Thank you so much, Commissioner. Appreciate it.
Well, if you're going to do a game of Trivial Pursuit, maybe you want me and my wife on your side. She knows so much. So anyway, I'm married right. Anyway, coming up on 40 years we've been together, so yay. All right, I'm going to quit prattling. Anyone else wish to address this board? Anyone else on the first public comment? Okay, Madam Clerk, moving on to the first agenda item, please. Thank you.
In the Utilities Department, resolution increasing appropriations and transferring cash within Lake County Department of Utilities Sewer Operating Fund and Project Fund 596, Twilight Lift Station Improvements Project 439S.
Move to approve.
Second. And Randy, did you want to give a quick? I mean, that's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, this is one of our capital improvement projects. We're going to relocate their Twilight Lift Station. It's right up on the lake, and we're going to move it back a little bit. And the purpose of this transfer is so we can purchase some property in order to do that.
Very good. Thank you, sir. If there's nothing further, Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
In Job and Family Services Department, resolution approving Lake County Department of Job and Family Services vouchers, date of warrant June 24, 2022, in the amount of $579,633.56.
Move to approve.
Second. Discussion. None being heard. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Resolution authorizing execution of service contracts between Catholic Charities Corporation and the Lake County Board of Commissioners on behalf of the Lake County Department of Job and Family Services to provide workforce services for program year 2022.
Move to approve.
Second. Discussion. None being heard. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Resolution authorizing execution of service contracts between Ohio Guidestone and the Lake County Board of Commissioners on behalf of the Lake County Department of Job and Family Services to provide workforce services for program year 2022.
Move to approve.
Second. Discussion. None being heard. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Resolution authorizing execution of service contracts between United Labor Agency Incorporated and the Lake County Board of Commissioners on behalf of the Lake County Department of Job and Family Services to provide staffing services at Ohio Means Jobs, Lake County, in the amount of $412,080 for program year 2022.
Move to approve.
Second. Discussion. None being heard. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
In the Commissioner's Office, resolution authorizing change order number 1 for the Paradise Road Drainage Improvement Project for the Lake County Board of Commissioners on behalf of the Lake County Stormwater Management Department.
Move to approve.
Second. Discussion. Tim, did you want to add anything to that, sir?
Yes, Commissioners. This change order had to do with the fact there was a utility conflict, so we had to reroute the storm sewer to a different location. And in addition, there was some additional material cost that the contractor incurred.
Pretty straightforward. Thank you,
Okay,
sir.
thank you.
If there's nothing further, Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Resolution authorizing execution of a memorandum of understanding between the Lake County Board of Commissioners on behalf of the Lake County Stormwater Management Division and the City of Willowick for East 328th Street Sewer Rehabilitation Project Phase 2.
Move to approve.
Second. Discussion. None being heard. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Resolution authorizing payment to various Lake County police prosecutors for the first half of 2022.
Move to approve.
Second. Discussion. None being heard. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Resolution authorizing the Lake County Administrator to enter into a purchase agreement for real property located at 41 East Erie Street in the city of Painesville, Ohio.
Move to approve.
Second. Discussion.
Mr. President,
Sir.
I would just say that this strategic purchase of property is part of our master plan going forward as we adjust with the construction of a new safety center, and we continue to meet the needs of our various offices, public defenders, lawyers, and staff. This additional space is useful in the immediate term, but also gives us more flexibility as we continue to reorganize, and there will have to be substantial reorganization as we move from building to building with the safety center, and this gives us the flexibility that we need.
Very good, thank you. Administrator Boyd, that pretty much said it all?
Well said.
Well said, Commissioner, thank you. If there's nothing further, Madam Clerk, roll call please.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
In the Finance Department, resolution approving payment of bills as listed on the Commissioner's Approval Journal in the amount of $2,701,368.59.
Move to approve.
Second. Discussion? None being heard. Madam Clerk, roll call please.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Resolution approving purchase orders as listed on the Commissioner's Purchase Order Approval Journal in the amount of $2,294,835.53.
Move to approve.
Second. Discussion? None being heard. Madam Clerk, roll call please.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Resolution increasing appropriations for various non-general fund accounts.
Move to approve.
Second. Discussion? None being heard. Madam Clerk, roll call please.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Resolution transferring cash and appropriations within various general and non-general fund accounts.
Move to approve.
Second. Discussion? None being heard. Madam Clerk, roll call please.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes. Okay, I believe that brings us to our departmental reports portion of our meeting. Utilities?
No report today, Commissioner. Thank you.
Thank you. Job and Family Services?
Good morning. On behalf of Job and Family Services, I just wanted to thank both of you for joining us yesterday for the World Elder Abuse Awareness Walk. Thank you for wearing purple as well, which is the color to spread awareness about elder abuse. We are very fortunate to have such wonderful partners in our community to assist our social workers to do their duty in investigating allegations of elder abuse. Also wanted to give a special thank you to Aliyah Barajas with the Commissioner's Office, who was really critical in helping to plan such a successful event yesterday.
Thank you.
Mr. President?
Sir?
I would only repeat Judge Bartolotta in saying that I hope we build this into a tradition bigger and bigger every year to bring more and more awareness to the issue of elder abuse, not just in Lake County, but across the world. And I feel like we made a big difference yesterday, but if we can just build on it and do this every year, we can continue to direct people to our adult protective services. We can continue to direct people to the resources that they need. So thank you for taking the lead on this, and hopefully we can have an even bigger event next year.
Well said. All right, there's nothing further. Moving on to our County Administrator, Jason Boyd.
Good morning, Commissioners. Just a couple really brief comments. I noted I believe it was last week, that the Public Safety Center planning process was slated to begin. Just a little bit of a follow-up. We will have 3 two-day workshops, extensive and intensive workshops, notably for the sheriff and his team, on to get a complete understanding of their current operations, future operations, inmate trends, parking strategy, security, movement of food, medical, corrections, and so on. So that process will start in the next week or two, just to let the public know that programming and planning is scheduled, and we're looking forward to that. Secondly, Finance Director Matus is currently working on the 2023 budget, as odd as that sounds, in June. I believe he's still waiting on a couple other departments or agencies to submit their 5-year forecast and the like. So as soon as we get out of the temp budget in February, Mike gets right to work on the following year's budget. Secondly, obviously with the economy, rising rates that we're going to hear, I spoke to our building official, and we are still all busy as get out as far as construction, that we can tie data back to our building department. Dave Strichko, our building inspectors, and the support staff over there continue to see a tremendous amount of workflow, not only for the balance of 22. It's hard to predict 23, but just looking at some of the conversations with developers in the Lake County area, there's some big projects on the horizon. So we'll see how the market dictates where those go down the road. So thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, sir. Anything for our administrator? Very good. Thank you, sir. All right, moving on to clerk. Madam Clerk.
I wanted to mention that the next commissioners meeting is going to be scheduled for next Thursday, June 23rd, 10 a.m. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. And legal?
No reports, Commissioner.
Thank you, sir. We do have a guest with us from the Health District. Adam, did you want to comment? I know we were talking before the meeting about some changes with the way the state is looking at Health District funding.
Sure.
I can kind of segue. I've been talking to some colleagues that the state doesn't seem to be able to decide, do they want to look at health districts as more medical, do they want to look at them as more governmental, and then when they try to mush the two together, it's kind of damaging to your budget. Did you want to maybe?
Yeah, so just a couple of years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, the state switched funding sources from our grants to reimbursement, as they called it, which would show you spent every dollar that you received, to what they called a deliverable basis, whereas you complete a task, you're given X number of dollars, and the dollars are supposed to be reflective of the cost of doing that service, that deliverable. It allowed us to be a little more proactive with things as well, because obviously if you're a little more efficient at it, you can get done a little bit quicker, and then you can have staff move on to other needs throughout the community. So it actually allowed us to be more invested in the community and help out with other people as well. There was some contention going back and forth when it first came out. The contention, I guess, has festered to the point right now where they're saying they're going to revert back to the old way they were doing the grants. And it is tough for the staff and ourselves, obviously, because this is back and forth a lot, and then trying to explain to people, you know, it's one way one year, it's one way the next year, it's one way the next year. Not to mention the state auditors coming in and having their own say on that. So it's definitely caused some frustration, and then really determine how the funding will be used going forward as well, because it'll definitely change how we handle things. So that makes it tough. The other thing I was going to mention during the public comment session, since I'm up here already though, is I just want to say thank you to to everyone's favorite division, the prosecutor's office. Mike and Dave have been nothing but exemplary with helping us with a couple items that have come up recently, and I can't say thank you to them enough for literally, you call at random hours and they're always available and they're always willing to talk and make sure nobody digs himself into a hole. So I always appreciate that.
Thank you. And just to give a little bit of clarity to those who may be watching or going to be reading our meeting minutes, to the state's perspective, I understand they're government, they're used to working with government, and when all you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail.
True.
Health districts, as we've seen over the last couple of years, actually do engage in delivery of health practices and necessary services. Not quite like a doctor's office, but very similar. And that notion of accounting for every paper clip, and if this penny paid for that paper clip, I can't share that paper clip with Commissioner Plechnik because that paper clip was our law director's paper clip, and God forbid I commingle paper clips.
Yeah,
I can only imagine. And you're also the finance director for the health district.
Administrator for both Lake and Geauga health departments. It definitely. I think I'm not gonna say most. A number of health departments, as well as I think public entities, are going more towards a private sector approach with things nowadays, maximizing public dollars, maximizing time spent on programs. And this kind of, in my opinion, goes the other way, where it makes it tougher, where, it could be, hey, that ream of paper was bought by this grant, that grant can't use that ream of paper. And it just causes more frustration than anything else, and slowdowns, more red tape in the system. So a little frustration with that.
And that's where the inefficiencies start to come in on already strained budgets. And
True.
To Lake County Health District's credit, you've run very lean through the years. Some communities may not feel that way, but if you compare Lake County to other counties throughout the state, you're doing a phenomenal job.
Thank you.
The fact that Lake County is helping our colleagues in Geauga County to the degree that you are, I think, is a testament to that. And I know that there's been some overtures and other activities with the Ohio Department of Health looking at Lake County as one of the models for assisting other counties and consolidations. I know we only have 88 counties, but there's well over 100 health districts. There's an entire, there's not enough time to go into that, but some communities decide they're going to have their own health district, which I'm still scratching my head. It's called a district for a reason, but it's kind of like having economic development. Everybody has an economic development director.
Thankfully, Lake County is very supportive. Commissioner's offices, as well as the prosecutors and all the subdivisions. It's made us definitely a model for the whole state. I would say.
Excellent. Thank you, sir. Appreciate your time today.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to old business. Do you have any new or old business coming before the board?
Mr. President,
Sir.
it's very rare that royalty visits Northeast Ohio. Decades ago, Prince Charles came to christen the law building for Cleveland Marshall. Believe it or not, Prince Charles of England. Until you see the plaque, most people don't believe me. But we actually have the King of Lake County here today, Mayor Dennis Morley of Eastlake, along with the Count of Willowick, Rich Regovich. So we welcome you.
Well, if we're going there, we've got the Duke of Kirtland here. We got Mark Tyler in the audience too. Now, if we're going to go with all this royalty, what? Goodness gracious! Welcome. Now, so what role does the sheriff play? And if you say court jester, remember he carries a gun.
No, I believe they had sheriffs back then.
They did.
The oldest, my understanding is sheriff is the oldest standing elective office in the United States. So the sheriff was arresting dukes back in the day.
There you go. All right, moving on to new business. Do you have any new business? If I may, I'd like to update. NOACA is officially now in the economic development business. We had been 50 years ago, but back to my comment just a moment ago about economic development being broken up amongst communities, I would like to thank my colleague, Commissioner Plechnik, for getting this one across the finish line unanimously at our last board meeting. The example that we shared, which I think kind of closed the deal, was how well Lake County, the city of Eastlake, the Captains Organization, Major League Baseball, Mayors and Managers Township Association, everybody came together, we talked things through, and we got a proper application of ARPA funds to the city of Eastlake, and they're using that money wisely for the good of all of Lake County. I believe Mayor Morley famously says they're called the Lake County Captains for a reason, not the Eastlake Captains. But that example helped. The reason that it was so passionate, there were actually some people in the room that did not know this. Little did you know, the Intel plant that wound up going to Licking County outside of Columbus was originally offered to our area. And some folks who are not exactly elected officials said, we don't have the capacity to handle this, and just sent it down south. We didn't even get a chance to come to bat. And that's one of the things that by coordinating through multiple counties, we should be able to catch those things. And if we can't do it, got it. At least we had a chance to come up to the plate and have a chance. I'm disappointed that we didn't get a chance to take a look at it. I know, regardless of people's politics, Armin Budish, county executive in Cuyahoga County, an amazing individual. He has really taken the point on this, and months ago started trying to collect information that would catch this. And it really helped. One of the reasons why we started this back when I was the first vice president at NOACA, when we tried to secure economic development dollars, we found our area was ineligible because we did not have any multi-county oversight or coordination. We have that now. So those dollars that were going to other parts of the country, they can now come here. So we continue that trend of stopping being a donor region, meaning more dollars are going out than coming in. We are now turning that corner. I want to give thanks to Commissioner Plechnik. He kind of impromptu jumped right in, but that working together and putting petty pecks and quarrels behind us was something that we did, and we used again Eastlake as a proper example. So I don't know if you want to add to that, or
Mr. President, I would just say that there's a real misimpression as to how economic development is really achieved in communities. People imagine it as some kind of a political endeavor with backslapping and handshaking, but it's an enormous amount of hard work and teamwork. A lot of technical knowledge is needed to be successful, because when a major company like Intel or even a big company like Produce Packaging looks at a region, they bring their lawyer and their lobbyist. They're comparing tax rates. They are comparing crime rates. They're looking at property values and demographics. And if you're not capable of speaking that language and you don't have the organization behind you to go back and forth with their lawyer and lobbyist, you're really at a disadvantage to a community that does. And moreover, even if you get the business, they may take you for a ride. I mean, they're here to get the absolute best deal for their client. And you have to have strong representatives who know the language, the lingo, and the rules of the road, as well as what the market will bear and what the competition's offering, so that your community not only lands the business, but also brings them in for a revenue positive in terms of the economic impact and the tax impact on the community. The goal is to build the tax base. The goal is to bring in jobs. And if you don't negotiate, your community may even get the business but won't get an enormous or any economic benefit from it. So it's an enormous amount of hard work that requires a lot of technical knowledge and a lot of teamwork. There is no community that can do economic development successfully entirely on its own, because every business is going to be looking at the business environment not just in the township or city or village, but in the county and in the region, and that coordination and teamwork really is important. For the folks who say that, it's just, hire a retired politician and they'll slap a few black backs and bring in a business, that is not how economic development works. You're going to have lawyers and lobbyists who are going to be pushing for the absolute best package and deal for their company, and they're going to be comparing you not just to the city next door or even the state next door. It's a global competition. When Intel was deciding where to go, they were looking at countries, not just states or cities. So it's really critical that Northeast Ohio works well together so that we land the big fish and we have the strongest business environment, the best jobs, the best opportunity up here. And I'm grateful that through NOACA we've been able to create another economic development association that helps to leverage those assets, because frankly I think we would have been a better fit for Intel. I think we are the best business environment in the state, but being the best when no one knows about it isn't worth much. So we have a lot of work to do to share the great place that Lake County and Northeast Ohio is, not just to live, but to work. And I think this is a significant step towards that goal.
Well said, sir. And if I could just add, one of the topics of discussion during the discussions and the deliberations, come on up, sir, had to do with encouraging a spirited and candid conversation. So nobody got hung up on the written word. We're literally putting our draft documents for submittal to the federal government together, and we didn't want to get hung up on a word here or a comma there. It all came down to intent, so that if somebody misinterpreted words and phrases in the future, we could always point back to the discussions and said, we intended for it to do this, we intended for it to do that. And I believe that's something that doesn't get used very often, which is why meeting minutes are so critical to properly memorialize things. And Mayor Morley.
Dennis Morley, City of Eastlake. Just to add on to the stadium, since the articles have been out with the city receiving the funds, got a lot more questions from a lot of people. And so one of the things I'm going to tell everyone today, and what I've been telling some people, because people go, I can't believe you guys don't make any money on that stadium. And I said, what other business could stay in business for 21 years and not make a cent? The answer to that is the Eastlake Stadium. We have pulled $1.4 million out of our general fund for the last 21 years to pay for that stadium. There is no revenue at this point, and the stadium will be paid off since we did refinance it, the bonds a couple years ago by 26 or end of 26 and 27. So I think a lot of people don't know that, and so this is a good forum for if people are out there and see the minutes that the City of Eastlake has $30 million already invested. And I'll continue to say, former mayor 3 mayors ago said it wasn't going to cost us a dime. He was right. It cost the City of Eastlake $35 million. Just think if the City of Eastlake had 35, and I love the captains and that they're in, and all the mayors since it was built have dealt with it. And, for a while the city was in bad shape. We've turned the corner over the last few years. But at the end of the day, I don't believe a lot of people understand that we've never made a dime on that stadium. And it may never. Because the infrastructure is just going to get worse over the next so many years, and someone down the line after me is going to eventually have to make a decision what to do with that stadium when it becomes even more costly for the infrastructure. So again, like I've said before, I appreciate you guys listening and talking to me before this, and I said this before, we were in these conversations before the ARPA money came out about if there was any money that could be held for the county. So I appreciate everything that you guys have done. Thanks.
Very good. And I should also add our Lake County Visitors Bureau has been a tremendous partner in this, in getting us the data that shows the impact on Lake County's economy and, quite frankly, our surrounding counties. So all that goes into the mix, so it's not just about one community.
Mr. President?
Sir.
I know it's hard to believe, but sometimes people are critical on social media. And
say it isn't so.
And I'd like to repeat what one constituent shared with me who was angry about the investment in the Lake County Captain Stadium because he didn't think it was anywhere near sufficient. He said, "You commissioners are only coldly, self-interestedly giving this money to the Lake County Captain's Stadium, and not to the captains themselves, but to the city of Eastlake, which owns the stadium, to maintain it and to make sure that it meets minor and major league standards so that we can keep the team. So you're only making this investment because otherwise the captains would leave, and the economic impact for the county is considerably greater than the amount of the investment. So in the net, the county profits from this decision." And I replied, yes, someone finally understands why we made this investment. It's absolutely because the economic impact on an annual basis is greater than the 1 year's investment. And speaking to the Visitors Bureau's numbers, we have about a $5 million impact each year from the stadium, not just the captains and their games, although that is a major component, but the concerts and other events that the city of Eastlake hosts using that stadium. Taken together, it's about a $5 million impact each year. So a $4.2 million investment to preserve that $5 million impact for the foreseeable future, the money's made back from the perspective of the greater county community in 1 year. So I absolutely agree with the criticism. This was not out of any great love for one individual community in the county. This was a cold economic decision. It does benefit the county as a whole. And so I will callously admit that, yes, we did look at those numbers before that decision was made. And yes, the county commission, I believe, made the decision because it benefited the county as a whole. So guilty as charged. We wanted to preserve that $5 million economic impact. And we recognize that almost half the fans who visit Captain Stadium each year are from outside of the county. And it's not just the money that they spend here, it's the opportunity to showcase Lake County, to give people a sense of what we have to offer. And as the Visitors Bureau would say, we want people to visit, we want them to try before they buy so that they come back for more. You know, maybe this is the first entry into someone moving to Lake County, bringing their business here, having a family vacation. We really want to bring together the Lake County Captains. We want to bring together the wineries in Madison. We want to bring together the lakes and the lakefront views and metro parks so that we can really create an experience and a destination. And we are starting to see that. We are starting to see some pretty substantial recovery of tourism and visiting Lake County, and that has a big economic impact for us in toto. But that's something we need to grow. We're called Lake County for a reason. We have a lake. And most other communities that are so blessed have a lot more tourism than we do. So this is not patting ourselves in the back and saying we're the best ever. It's to say that we have a lot of assets that are underutilized. And given that our Lake County Captains, from the perspective of the county community, are a profitable endeavor already, given that our wineries are the fastest growing industry in Lake County already, given that our metro parks along the lake are visited by more people on an annual basis than folks live in Lake County today already, we're starting from a great place, but with an enormous amount of room for growth. And if we can bring those assets together, if we can market them together, I'm really excited for what the next few years are going to bring. But I do believe it was an incredibly important investment, which was only possible with the cooperation of the city of Eastlake and their hard work, as well as the Captain's organization. So we're grateful to all of our community partners in getting this done because, yes, $5 million economic impact for Lake County, that's worth fighting for.
And hopefully you can see why we used Eastlake as a shining example of why NOACA, and I suppose for those who are wondering what is that, it's the Northeast Area Wide Coordinating Agency. It's the Metropolitan Planning Organization, or MPO, federally designated for the purposes of primarily transportation, air quality, but economic development is actually part of their charge. So if anybody says, oh, that's scope creep or they're getting involved in other things, no. So I just wanted to get that out there and on the record. Is there anything further to add to that subject, sir? Very good. All right, is there any other new business? Hearing none, moving on to our second public comment portion. Sir.
John Music, 45 Coventry Drive, Painesville Township. I just want to add one thing to the statement I made earlier, is that, you know, at no time do I condone violence anywhere. Anywhere, maybe a school board meeting or in here. Over the years, I've been here to meetings, my first one in 2005, where I heard the president pound that gavel very viciously, I'll say, because there were people that, in my opinion, were not acting too professional as they should. So that's all I'll say is on that. But I'm just saying I don't condone any type of violence anywhere, on the streets, anywhere. And the thing about it is, and just one thing I wanted to read here, and then I got my final question is, this is a memorandum from the Attorney General, Garland, and I just read this one section of the memorandum. It's only one page, and it says, threats against public servants are not only illegal, they run counter to our nation's core values. Those who dedicate their time and energy to ensuring that our children receive a proper education and a safe environment deserve to be able to do their work without fear for their safety. Well, I feel the same way about our Supreme Court judges, our county judges. They all should be protected. And like I said, violence is violence, and I think, you know, it doesn't need to be taken at a school board meeting, a commissioner meeting, or any meeting. So I just want that understood. Okay? And lastly, I want to talk about a little bit, I have a question for you, on that, the buying of that 41 East area. I'm all for that, because, you know, I support the jail 100%. We've got to give the sheriff his tools to do his job. I'm all for it. But, you know, the thing about it is, you mentioned office space. Now, over here in the old section, how many non-county departments, I know the Visitor Bureau is a non-profit over there. How many other ones are in there I mean, like I said, I am not against buying it. I'm for buying it. I understand that position of that property. I'm for it, because like I said, I support the jail. And the thing is, but I am saying is, how many non-departments do we have over here in the old administration building over there that maybe we could have utilized some of that? I'm just asking. I don't know. I'm asking.
Let's start with, you mentioned Visitors Bureau. They are designated by the county as the authority for that purpose. So they are actually acting on our behalf. But Jason, did you want to add to that?
I would say with the primary function of county government, 0. The one exception maybe is the Lake Development Authority, which is our economic development agency that's funded by the county commissioners. But every department, I'm picturing the floors over there, Mr. Colson, Auditor Galloway are all, and to your point about the structure, unfortunately, we've had the need, Mr. Colson, to add additional prosecutors. We've got prosecutors in probably substandard facilities now. As Commissioner Pleshik noted, this acquisition could be a destination or a landing spot, both short-term and long-term, for additional prosecutors, public defenders, those sorts of things. So as much as we've tried to consolidate, and we've done a heck of a job from probate to Suzanne's office, everything in county governments, there are still some agencies, and we're not in the business to grow base, but just have space needs for employees. So that's one of the processes going on there.
Thanks, Jason. Sure. And my question, because this started back, and none of you were here talking about this, and the thing about it is, it's like, you know, they were all saying, well, we want to have all the county departments in one building. Well, now, you know, and so the thing about it is, that's why I was questioning. Like I said, I'm all for buying it for the jail. No problems there. But I am just saying, we never want our government to get bigger. Never, ever.
Sure.
Because the bigger it gets, the more expensive it gets. And just like Jason said the other day, it won't be long when 1 out of 3 people in Lake County are going to be seniors. No one thinks about that. Oh, we're going to do this. And I talk to seniors every day. So many are hurting. You wouldn't believe they are hurting. And the thing, they can't, was it now last time, because I watch 6 financial people a day. And you talked about a couple years, they're predicting this could go into 2024. And the thing about it is, it's like saying, so many people, even at living pay, they're now going into their savings because they can't pay things when they live paycheck to paycheck. And this is what I'm looking at, and like I said, I always will be a servant of the people. I'm never going to be a politician. Someone's got to speak for the people, because in all reality, they're hurting right now. And so that's what I was looking for. So I just wanted to know, because when they first started talking about this, they said we wanted all the county people in one building, like they moved the building department over. And as you all know, the parking in Painesville is terrible. You know it, and I've lived here my entire life, and the parking is terrible. There aren't that many stores down here. It wasn't for the parking lot over there once in a while, but there isn't. And once they do whatever they're going to do with the old Bank One building, I park over there and walk over, but whatever they're going to decide to do with that. But I am just saying is that, I agree with having everything under one roof, if possible, within reason, and I understand that. But what I am saying is that I don't want government to be getting bigger and bigger and bigger, because the bigger it gets, the more expensive it gets. Thank you.
To give you a practical example, though, if I may use our prosecutor's office as an example, and they're working with Job and Family Services, keeping everybody under one roof, it became pretty apparent there's conflict issues. It made more sense to transfer those attorneys directly under the control of Job and Family Services. It just made sense for them not to be under this one roof, but to be under the roof of the department that they'd be working with, just in case there would ever need to be any interactions with the prosecutor's office, because they're not so big that they can't, what do they call it, a Chinese wall, or some legal term that you can actually be so big that you can have attorneys in the same office representing opposing parties. Well, we're not that big. Our prosecutor's office is pretty darned efficient. I don't know if you want to maybe elaborate on that transfer, but I think that was a great example of prosecutors cooperating with Job and Family Services and saying, hey, this is best housed here, this is best performed as a deliverable in this mechanism. I don't know if either of you want to comment on that, but
it was pretty straightforward, Commissioner, in terms of, yes, Job and Family Services hired 2 lawyers to do abuse and neglect cases, and the reason for that is because our office, when we're handling those, our office is also doing delinquency cases. There could often be conflicts, so decision was made that we are not going to do that work anymore. They have 2 attorneys over in Job and Family Services that they hired. They weren't transferred from us. They hired those.
Well, the response, perhaps I'm painting with too broad of a brush when I say that, but I'm trying to use this as an example from Mr. Music of, we're not growing government. There are fixed needs that have to be addressed, and where those people are stationed, sometimes the need drives where it's at. So I'm just trying to make that abundantly clear, that if you see us moving some pieces around, it's because there are needs that we are statutorily required to provide. And we take things very seriously, particularly when we're dealing with the most vulnerable segments of our society. So forgive me if I'm a bit passionate on protecting the victims, but that also comes. I don't know, Suzanne, if you wanted to add to this discussion, or?
I don't think there's anything else to add at this point.
The only thing I was looking was for some answers, just like the people out there that I talk to, and if we get to 1 out of 3 people in Lake County, seniors, just think of what we got. I mean, someday, I personally have been retired 15 years and I'll never get a paycheck. And now we got to worry about our pensions with the mark. They were talking about that the other day, many pensions. The Ohio State pension plan's in big trouble. It's one of the most in debt there is. They were talking about that on these financial plates, the others. Because, the thing about it is people don't do their homework. Everybody sees the big picture. But I'm a very detailed person. When I worked, I used to go throughout the state shooting chronic problems because I always wanted to be detective. But anyhow, because they would send me there. Because I would find the problem. It's different when you're dealing with maybe 10 vendors. Okay, this is what our equipment does. This is what they should be giving me. And it doesn't work. But the thing about it is, so many people in this county, we're talking county right now, are hurting. They can't afford their needs, let alone wants. And I'm just saying, I want to give Suzanne and the prosecutor's office all their tools. I do. But I'm just saying is, the bigger the government gets, the more expensive it gets. And we do what we got. Like I said, the Visitor Bureau, I believe, is a nonprofit. And could we have utilized some of that space for something? And like I said, I'm all for buying that property, I am. But I'm just saying, as far as office space goes, could we have utilized that building better? I don't know what if there's anything else in there, but I know the Visitors Bureau, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, is a nonprofit. It is not a county department per se. Because the land bank is still, I believe, at 8 North State, because I used to go to their meetings all the time, and there was another one crossing the New Market Mall there, and so forth and so forth. But I'm just saying. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. President?
Sir.
I would just give two reactions, two comments to Mr. Music. Number one, the Visitors Bureau, not unlike the Lake Development Authority, is completely integrally linked to the Lake County Commissioners. It's my position, and it's been my position, that in most respects they should be treated as a public entity because of the fact that they are funded by taxpayer dollars and they do perform a governmental purpose. That's been my consistent position as long as I've been in this office and before. And I think that makes it very appropriate for them to be in a county building because it is their job to promote the county on behalf of Lake County government. And they are funded by the taxpayer, funded by taxpayer dollars primarily. So I think it only makes sense for them to be in the county building given that they're being paid for by tax dollars and they're handling a traditionally governmental function. So I don't think it's odd to have them here. I actually think that it's a good fit for them to be here, and it allows them to work more closely with county government and promoting the message of the county for our businesses. But my second point, and I think this is a much bigger point, I agree with you. I think that the economic pain is going to continue for some time. As we're talking, the stock market's dropped another 800 some points. We've seen the highest inflation in over 40 years, and frankly, most people's lifetime, 8.6% for the month of May, and it's likely to get worse. I get frustrated when I see Nobel Prize winning economists who work for politicians and are paid by politicians try to overcomplicate the issue. From Lord John Maynard Keynes to the Austrian economists, there is no disagreement. Printing money causes inflation. If you spend more than you take in and you fund that spending by printing money, and now we use euphemisms like quantitative easing, they've kind of stopped saying that, now they say asset purchasing. But when you are creating more dollars, I don't care what term you label it with, when you create more dollars, traditionally called printing money, you cause inflation. I mean, I've taken to saying 2 + 2 = 4, and printing money causes inflation. And I would ask that you share that sentiment with anyone who hasn't had the benefit of taking Econ 101. It's important for people to understand it is not that complicated. You cannot increase the money supply. You cannot print money without the inevitable consequence of causing inflation. And inflation is best conceptualized as a tax. When the government does something where they have more money and you have less, that's a tax. And inflation operates differently from a property tax or an income tax where you pay a bill to the government and you can see the money go from you to them. But long story short, when the government prints money, they have more to spend and you have less to spend. And every time you go to the gas pump, every time you go to the grocery store, you experience that reality. This is the first time most Americans have experienced this in a serious way, so it's a new experience, but we need to understand where it's coming from if we're going to address it. And your county prosecutor, your county auditor, your county commissioners have no realistic way of combating inflation, but it is important for us to understand the pain that it's causing our seniors, those on a fixed income, and frankly all of us as we make our policy and understand that the average Lake County resident is strapped right now because the federal government decided to impose a massive inflation tax on all of us, and we're paying that price. So as Lake County government, we have to work even harder to be super efficient because our taxpayers can't afford more burden. You are heard loud and clear, Mr. Music.
And if you want to perhaps add quantitative easing is the government printing more money, saying, well, we're not taxing you more, we're just printing more money, which literally devalues the money that's already in circulation, which is where inflation comes from. I don't know if you want to add to that, because I know that's your area of expertise.
I mean, I would just say you don't need degrees in accounting, law, and tax to know that printing money causes inflation. You don't need to be a published author in academic journals on inflation to know that printing money causes inflation. You just need to be an American in 2022 to know that printing money causes inflation. And once again, when you see the politicians and their bought and paid for economists try to complicate it, they go, it's foreign policy combined with public sentiment, combined with stock market no, it is not that complicated. There are many things that you need to spend an entire life studying to understand. For example, the equations for a black hole. You would have to spend a lifetime studying that to be able to read those mathematical equations, evaluate and improve upon them. But to understand that when you increase the supply of a good without a corresponding increase in demand, you reduce its value, that is literally Econ 101. And you should have it in high school, you should have it in college, heck, I think you should have it in grade school. But right now, we're all living in school. We are learning that when you print money, you cause inflation. It's really not a complicated phenomenon, and folks who try to overcomplicate it are really just trying to say, don't look at the man behind the curtain. Don't look at the guy running the printing press. I'm not the one causing the... No, you are, actually. And you should take full responsibility. And when I say you, I mean the Federal Reserve, I mean the President, I mean Congress. The folks who have made the decision to increase the money supply need to take personal responsibility for the inflation that they're causing and admit that they did so intentionally. This is not rocket science. You don't need to be a physicist or Albert Einstein to understand. Whenever the government prints money, they know the consequence will be inflation and reducing the value of your savings and your salary. It is a decision that they make as a matter of public policy. Just like when they vote to raise income tax rates or they vote to raise property taxes, when the government raises inflation, they are taxing you, and they know what they're doing. I mean, don't be fooled. When they say that it's complicated and nobody knows how inflation works, anybody who took Econ 101 knows how inflation works. I guarantee you the President of the Federal Reserve, the board members, the Congress people, the President's folks, they know what they're doing. Now, you can agree or disagree with the action that they're taking, but we need to understand printing money causes inflation. And I'll say it one more time because it's a mathematical truth. 2 + 2 = 4, and printing money causes inflation. And if you disagree with either statement, you don't know math.
Well said. All right, continuing with our public portion. Sir.
Brian Massey, 8196 Rainbow Drive. I'll try to be very brief. I know we've been here a while, but I have two items. One has to deal with children in public schools, and the other is contracts. I attended the Willoughby Eastlake School Board meeting on the 13th, I believe it was, and school board member Stacy Menzer, I believe I'm pronouncing her name correctly, spoke up in a very impassioned speech. She was extremely concerned about her kindergartner being assaulted in school. She demanded to see the video. She saw the video, and she was, as a mom, any mom would be, she was just taken back at how her kindergartner was treated. She met with the superintendent, Thompson, and the principal of the school, I don't know the name, and they said that this has been happening all year. And she said, why isn't somebody doing something about it? And superintendent said they're not permitted to do anything. And Ms. Menzer then also met with the teachers, and the teachers said that they have given up taking the student to the principal's office for disciplinary measures because nothing is ever done. When I heard that resonated with me because I had attended the Riverside School Board, and I had heard the exact same thing, that teachers are no longer taking the problem children to the principal's office because nothing is being done. Now, I'm going to reach out to our contacts at the State Board of Education, trying to understand what has happened in our public schools regarding discipline. And if I will gladly share whatever we find, with the commissioners, because I think it's a very serious problem, where schools historically have preached equality of opportunity, but what they really mean now when they talk about equity is they really want equality of outcome. So the meritocracy and what we're seeing, for the beautiful children from the Madison School, that doesn't seem to be revered too much anymore, and what we want is everyone to, get to the finish line at the same time. So I just mentioned that to the commissioners. I feel pretty passionate about this subject, and I'm going to follow up with the state board. The second item has to deal with county contracts. I'm trying to understand the contracts. Do the commissioners have to approve every contract that is signed, or only contracts that hit a certain threshold? And if it's, I don't know, if it's $50,000 and above, that there has to be a resolution, that the commissioners have to be involved in those transactions? I'm just asking because I don't know the answer to it.
Yeah, I'm going to look to legal, because that sounded, to unpack that would be a challenge, so I'm going to look to legal. I think I know the answer, but I'd rather hear it from you. I know our administrators here.
You might want to check Rise Code Section 307.86.
307.06.
Yes.
307.06. That will 86. Okay, that'll answer those questions then.
It has to do with public bidding.
Okay, well, I'll read that, and if I have any questions, I'll contact you for clarification, if that would be all right.
I can't give you legal advice, Mr. Master.
Okay, I see. All right, thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Question?
Mr. President, I would just say, I think part of the problem we see in public schools generally today is that we have forgotten what an incredible privilege it is to be educated and to study. There should be excitement to learn. Every child should be excited at the opportunity, and that needs to be more fostered. Unfortunately, I think that some schools, private and public, not just public schools, are looking at the number of kids they can get through the door. It's not about necessarily equality of outcome. It's about how many numbers can I have, because that's how much reimbursement I get from the state and how much money I make. And that can be a problem with private schools, it can be a problem with charter schools, it can be a problem with public schools, but any school that's more concerned with how many kids they can graduate versus how much the children learn, the safe learning environment, protecting each student. I mean, being in school is a privilege. It is not a right. And if you are dangerous to your classmates or you misbehave, frankly, I would say even if you refuse to participate, I think that there should be actions taken to remove the person who is taking away from the educational environment. And that person, of course, should be given a chance to study harder, do better, behave. But no child should be afraid to go to school because their school is worried more about, our numbers. How many people do we have through the door? Because unfortunately, schools are not rewarded for getting all A's for their students. They're not rewarded for a safe environment. They're rewarded based on numbers. And what I've found as a matter of economics, because it seems like economics is the theme of the day, is that people do what they're rewarded to do. If the state incentivizes with money a school having more students graduate, then somehow or other more students are going to graduate. Now, they may not know anything, they may not have learned anything, but they will find a way to make that student graduate if they're paid. We need to do a better job of rewarding schools for graduating incredible kids like the ones we saw today who earned all A's. We need to make sure that schools are rewarded for creating a safe learning environment. And frankly, I would like to see the state, incentivize better disciplinary systems and incentivize having no incidents occur in a given school. Because I guarantee you, if there were money on the line, magically the superintendent would do it. But people do what they're rewarded to do very often. Some people go above and beyond that, but you can't assume it. You have to make sure that the incentives are in line with what we actually want. If you ask the parent, do you care more about how many students graduate, or do you care more about your kid being safe and having a good learning environment? I think they'd say the latter. but the incentives are not always in line, and we need to work to make sure that schools are being rewarded monetarily for doing the right things, not just for getting some artificial number. And it's always a challenge because superintendents are going to try to game any system you give them. If you say, well, we want to make sure that there are no incidents, they may just not report anything. So you have to, I'm not saying there's an easy magical answer, but I think the problem here is we have incentives that don't match up with what parents actually want, and we need to take ownership and say the money incentives need to align with what our community wants.
Thank you, Commissioner Patrick. That's very, very interesting to me, and I do appreciate you sharing that. Just one little tidbit, we did some research on proficiency scores. This was prior to COVID, I think 2018, 2019. The proficiency scores for all of the state of Ohio schools, 65%. So that means some of the kids are graduating, they can't even read or write, which is just not fair to those kids. So thank you very much, Commissioners, and thank you, Mr. Hackman, appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. Okay, is there anyone else wishing to address the board at this time? Anyone else? Seeing no further takers for the second public comment portion, we do have a request for executive session. The topic will be personnel, collective bargaining. There will be no business to be conducted afterwards. Do I have a motion to adjourn for reasons so stated?
So moved.
Second. Madam Clerk, roll call please.
Commissioner Plutchnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes, thank you for joining us today.
Your comments are well done.